Hello and welcome to Art Masters with me, Mrs. Portilla. Today we will be doing art based on an artist, Piet Mondrian. And he kind of started doing a new art, and it was dedicated to the basic art elements like line, shape, and color. So he used primary colors like red, blue, and yellow. And they're primary colors because you can't mix colors to make these colors, right? He liked to use line, really exciting line. But the biggest reason we can call this art is based on his design and composition, where he finds balance. So that's something we're going to be working with today, is figuring out how to balance our art. And then we're going to evaluate the art, where we could look at each other's art and see what we like and how things were made balanced. So today we're going to be creating our own art piece, just like Mondrian. And you're the artist. You're going to have to decide when your art is balanced. We're going to be using the primary colors and line, and we're going to be working on our compositions. And every time you add a shape, it changes the balance of your design. So that's something we're going to be working on today, making our Piet Mondrian art. So once you have all your supplies, we're going to clear our workspace a little bit. And we're going to have our white paper and our primary colors. So one thing Mondrian did really well at was balance. In his compositions, he would balance things. So he actually called his paintings compositions because they were studies related to balance, color, and line. So he took this very seriously. So we're going to play around a little bit with our compositions. So let's say you have a line here and you have your big shape here. That visually looks heavy. So there's a visual perception of weight, meaning, does this piece of paper really weigh something? No, I mean a little bit. So really this is looking like, oh, this weight is weighing this down. So what happens if I add something here? Now that looks balanced, but to me that looks a little boring. So I'm going to move that shape here. So now this still looks balanced. Sometimes turn the art around. Does it still look balanced? It does. So Mondrian liked his vertical and horizontal lines to make his compositions looked balanced. So that was the thing he really liked to do, was studying color and lines and how to make them interesting and balanced. So that's what we're going to do. So a big part of today's lesson is you, the artist, deciding when your composition is balanced. So that's what we're going to look for. Right now, I want you guys to watch, and then you're going to do it. So I have my 3 primary color shapes. Now, if I put all 3 here, well, that doesn't look balanced. This whole part's empty. So right now, I'm going to not glue anything. I'm just going to set down my squares to see what makes it look balanced and interesting. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. It could definitely use a little bit more, which is why we have our lines. So Mondrian liked to frame his primary colors so the lines go on the outside. So I'm going to just lay out my shapes and horizontal and vertical lines. So go ahead, you can watch me fast forward as I lay out my design, and then you're going to do it. So now you should have just kind of a layout of your design that you like. I can still change things and add things. So I have a basic layout of my design. You notice that I cut one of my shapes, and I'm cutting some of my lines to make it more interesting. And as I'm talking to you, I'm seeing a big heavy shape right there. That's really drawing my eye. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of this red, because color has weight as well. And I might put this somewhere else. maybe up here. I just feel like I need a little bit more balance. Okay, so we're gonna start gluing our shapes down. You might have a lot of lines going on, so things might move around, and that's okay. This is a constant study of design. So we're gonna start by gluing our big shapes. We could use a glue stick or your regular glue. I'm gonna use the glue stick and then touch up my shapes with the regular glue. Great job gluing down. Now, once you have your initial layout glued down, now's the time to evaluate. So the first thing I'm seeing, I have this open-ended line. Mondrian didn't really have that. So I'm going to close that, but I want to keep this interesting. So if I put a line there, I might need to add one somewhere else. When you add something one place, changes the balance. Sometimes you have to add it another place, and sometimes not. So let's take a look. So right now, what's standing out to me is I have a few big empty white boxes. My eye's being drawn to those. I'm gonna turn this way. That actually looks much more pleasing to me, but I'm still being drawn to this big white area. This is weighed down more because visually, because I have these lines and these colors. And again, my eye is being drawn here, not necessarily for a good reason. So what I'm gonna do, right now we're evaluating what our design looks like. You step back. When you step back, sometimes these big spaces will stand out. So what I'm gonna do, I don't have any more colored paper. Well, actually I do. I cut this scrap. I don't know if maybe I'll use that somewhere. And maybe I'll add just maybe even one more line. So go ahead and evaluate your composition, turning it around and seeing if your eye is being drawn to a lot of negative space. Great job. Hopefully you're really liking your design composition. So if you notice, I just added a little bit of blue, and then I added a line and another little shape, and that seems to have balanced out my composition. So now when I turn it around, I still have some large negative shape areas, but I'm kind of liking the way that it looks. This seems like a nice balanced composition. So once you're happy with your composition, if you have the big Mondrian reproduction in your class, you could actually look and find that he put his initials, PM, and he would number his composition. So if you would like, this is optional, you could either get a white crayon or like your fancy black pen and put your initials. I have this cool little box, so I'm gonna add my initials right here. And then I'm gonna put my favorite number. And that's gonna be my own little Mondrian signature. You're going to glue your composition down, and you're going to glue your Mondrian notes on the back along with your name. So once everything's glued down, I hope you guys have time to evaluate each other's art in class. If you do, point out how the color has weight, the balance, lines. Maybe you guys could even turn each other's art in different directions and see how it changes the balance and the design. Great job today, everyone, making your compositions. Things that we learned and that we can evaluate about each other's work once they're finished. And what makes it seem balanced, the color, the shape, or the lines. So I hope you guys enjoyed your Mondrian project and you learned about balance using primary colors, lines, and designs.